Ferrari just lost the advantage that made them dangerous, and they're furious. A hidden system, worth up to half a second per lap, suddenly cut by the FIA. The same innovation that 7 teams rushed to copy is now being restricted after spreading across the grid in weeks. And here's the brutal part. This wasn't just performance. This was Ferrari's identity. The one thing that made them faster in the corners gone. Leclerc feels it. Hamilton feels it. And when drivers lose confidence in the rear of the car, everything collapses. So now the question isn't why Ferrari is angry. It's what happens when the team that created the most powerful idea on the grid is forced to race without it. To understand why this reaction from Ferrari is so intense, you have to go deeper than the headlines, because this isn't just about losing speed. It's about losing the foundation of their entire car. Because this system, what people call flick tail mode, wasn't just an isolated trick. It was the center of Ferrari's aerodynamic philosophy. Everything was built around it. The rear wing, the diffuser, the way airflow moved through the car. All of it designed to work with this one concept. And that's what makes this so devastating. Because when you remove something like that, you don't just lose a few tenths. You lose structure. You lose balance. You lose the way the car behaves at the limit. And that's exactly what drivers feel first. Not the lap time, the instability. Because when that extra downforce disappears, especially at the rear, the car becomes unpredictable. Entry into corners feels different. Mid-corner grip drops. Throttle application becomes risky. And suddenly, the driver is no longer attacking. They're reacting. And that's where performance really disappears. But here's where the situation becomes even more critical. Because Ferrari didn't just use this system. They depended on it, more than anyone else. While other teams adapted it into their cars, Ferrari built their car around it from the beginning. And this is where the story becomes impossible to ignore, because once you understand how much Ferrari depended on this system, the reaction from Leclerc and Hamilton suddenly makes sense. This wasn't just an extra gain. It was the core of the car. The SF26 wasn't built around one idea. It was built around a chain of ideas, all connected to the rear of the car. The diffuser, the rear wing, the airflow that moves underneath and behind the car. And right in the middle of that chain was the blown exhaust concept. Take that away, and the whole balance starts to collapse. It's like removing the foundation from a building. The walls might still stand for a moment, but everything becomes unstable. And that's exactly what drivers feel. Less rear grip, less stability in fast corners, less confidence when pushing the car to the limit. And here's why that matters more than people think. Because in Formula One, drivers don't just react to the car. They trust it. They commit to corners at speeds where hesitation costs everything. And when that trust disappears, even slightly, lap time disappears with it. But here's where it gets even more serious. Because Ferrari didn't just use this system. They optimized everything around it. According to the technical breakdown, the Miami upgrade package alone included changes to the floor, diffuser, rear suspension, and rear wing, all working together with this concept. So removing it doesn't just affect one area. It affects all of them at the same time. And this creates a chain reaction. More understeer, less traction on corner exit, more tire degradation over race distance. And suddenly, a car that was competitive in high-speed corners starts losing its biggest strength. But here's the part that really explains the frustration inside Ferrari. Because this isn't happening in isolation. At the same time this system is being cut, the sport is moving towards something else. More combustion power, less reliance on electric systems. A direction that already puts Ferrari at a disadvantage, because their engine is not the strongest in the field. So now combine both things. Less aerodynamic advantage, same engine deficit, and the result becomes very clear. Ferrari risks losing both of their competitive edges, corners and straights. And that's the nightmare scenario. A team that is not the fastest anywhere, not in high-speed corners, not on long straights, just average. And in Formula One, average is invisible. But here's where the story takes another turn. Because while Ferrari is losing the most, other teams are quietly gaining. McLaren, for example, with a more balanced car, becomes stronger when extreme aerodynamic tricks disappear. Mercedes, with a powerful engine, benefits when straight-line performance matters more. And Red Bull, even if they lose part of this concept, they still have one of the most adaptable development structures in the sport, which means they recover faster. And that's where the pressure on Ferrari becomes even heavier. Because this isn't just about losing something. It's about how fast you can replace it. And that's the real challenge. Because finding a new source of downforce without relying on this concept is not simple. It requires a completely new direction, a new philosophy, a new way of thinking about the car. And that takes time. Time Ferrari might not have. But here's the detail that connects everything. Because the FIA didn't just target one system. They sent a message, a clear limit on how far teams can push certain areas of aerodynamics. And that forces every team, including Ferrari, to rethink where the next advantage will come from. So now, the real question isn't just how much Ferrari loses. It's what they do next. Because in Formula One, losing an advantage is normal. But replacing it before your rivals pull away, that's what defines champions. And right now, Ferrari is standing at that exact point, where one idea disappears, and the next one hasn't appeared yet. So the real question is no longer why Leclerc and Hamilton are furious. It's much more important than that. What does Ferrari become when the idea that made them fast no longer exists? And this is where the pressure turns into something much bigger, because now Ferrari is not just reacting to a loss. They're racing against time. Because replacing a system like this isn't like swapping a part. It's like rewriting the entire language of the car. Everything that used to work together now needs a new reference point, a new source of downforce, a new way to stabilize the rear, a new balance between grip and drag. And here's the problem. That kind of solution doesn't come from one idea. It comes from dozens of small changes, all working together. Floor geometry, rear suspension behavior, airflow management around the side pods. Every detail has to be rethought. And that takes time, development cycles, testing, mistakes. And while Ferrari is going through that process, other teams are not standing still. They're moving forward. And that's where the gap begins to grow. Quietly. Because development in Formula One is like a race that never stops. If one team slows down to fix something, the others keep gaining, even if it's just a few hundredths per race. Over time, it becomes tense, then seconds. But here's where the situation becomes even more intense. Because Ferrari isn't just losing performance, they're losing direction. Before this decision, they knew exactly where their advantage came from. They had a clear path. Refine the concept, improve it, push it further. Now that path is gone, and when a team loses direction, every decision becomes harder. Do you chase a completely new concept? Do you try to recover part of the old one? Do you split development and risk losing focus? Those choices decide seasons. But here's the twist that makes this even more dangerous. Because sometimes losing your main advantage forces you to find something better, something no one else has seen yet. And Ferrari has done that before. They found this concept when nobody else was looking. They turned a simple exhaust into a performance tool. They changed how teams think about airflow. So the question now becomes very simple, but very powerful. Can they do it again? Because if they can, this moment doesn't become a setback. It becomes a turning point, the start of something even bigger. But if they can't, if they spend too long searching, if the next idea doesn't come fast enough, then the rest of the grid pulls away. And in Formula One, catching up is always harder than staying ahead. But there's one final layer that connects everything. Because this isn't just about Ferrari's engineers. It's about the drivers too. Leclerc, Hamilton, two drivers who rely on confidence more than anything. Drivers who push the car to its absolute limit every lap. And when the car changes like this, they feel it instantly. They adapt. But adaptation has a cost. You brake earlier. You hesitate slightly on entry. You lose that last bit of commitment. And that's where lap time disappears. Not in big moments. In tiny ones. Corner after corner. Lap after lap. So now Ferrari faces a double challenge. Fix the car. And rebuild driver confidence. At the same time. And that's what makes this moment so critical. Because if they solve both quickly, they stay in the fight. If they don't, they fall behind. And in a season where margins are already small, that difference decides everything. So now everything comes down to one final question. Not about the ban, not about the rules, but about Ferrari itself. When the idea that made you fast disappears, do you fade, or do you come back with something even stronger? And this is where everything finally connects, because the real impact of this decision isn't just technical. It's psychological. Because right now, Ferrari isn't just trying to rebuild performance. They're trying to protect belief. Inside the team, inside the garage, inside the drivers. Because when something like this gets taken away, especially something you created, it doesn't just feel like a loss. It feels like something was taken from you. And that changes how a team reacts. Because now, every update carries more pressure. Every race weekend feels more urgent. Every result gets analyzed more deeply. And that pressure can either sharpen a team or break its rhythm completely. But here's where it becomes even more important. Because Formula One isn't just about having the best idea. It's about timing that idea perfectly, bringing it at the right moment, executing it without mistakes. And Ferrari just lost that timing advantage. They were ahead. They had the concept. They forced others to react. Now they're the ones reacting. And that shift is everything. Because the moment you stop leading, you start chasing. And chasing in Formula One is the hardest position to be in. Because you're always one step behind. Always trying to recover something you no longer have. But here's the twist. Because sometimes that pressure creates something unexpected. Clarity. Because when one path disappears, you're forced to explore others. Paths you wouldn't have considered before. Ideas you might have ignored. And that's often where the biggest breakthroughs come from. Not from comfort, from crisis. And Ferrari knows this. They've lived it before. They've built great cars after setbacks. They've found speed when no one expected it. So this moment could go in two completely different directions. It could be the beginning of a decline, or the start of something new, something even more competitive. But here's the part that defines everything. Because while Ferrari is searching, the rest of the grid is watching, waiting, ready to take advantage of any hesitation. And in Formula One, those moments don't last long. Because if one team slows down, another one takes control. And once that control is established, it's incredibly difficult to take it back. So now the entire story comes down to one final idea. Not the ban, not the rules, not even the performance. It comes down to identity. Because Ferrari now has to answer a question every top team eventually faces. What are you without your strongest weapon? Are you still competitive? Or were you defined by that one idea? And that's the real answer this season will reveal. Because if Ferrari finds something new, something just as powerful, then this moment becomes history. Just another challenge they overcame. But if they don't, if the next idea doesn't arrive in time, then this decision won't just be remembered as a regulation change. It will be remembered as the moment Ferrari lost control of their future. And that leaves one final thought. Not about what they've lost, but about what they're about to become. Because in Formula One, the teams that survive these moments are the ones that redefine themselves before anyone else can.